This is the Marshall Origin 5 valve combo that I bought to replace my Fender Mustang modelling amp because the software and the amp have stopped being produced and supported. So I thought I'd buy something with no software in it. I've never had a valve amp before, so I thought I'd get one. The only problem with it, and I've found this on a lot of YouTube videos that I've watched since buying it, is the Celestion speaker that comes with it. This one, the Celestion 815, is awful. It really sounds nasally and mid-range. There's no bottom end to it. There's no top end to it. It's just very, very, well, it's boring basically. Even with a bit of drive, it just sounds terrible. I really wanted a Marshall. I've never owned a Marshall before, and I always thought Celestions were the way forward. I'm sure some of the others are, but this one really isn't. So after a bit of research, I found that people have been replacing them with this Jensen loudspeaker, which is the same ohm and wattage as the Celestion, the same ratings, and you get much better results out of it. So I'm not going to do a comparison sound quality. I'll do a sound demo afterwards, just because there's so many videos already on YouTube with people demoing the Celestion speaker and saying how they're not pleased with it. One particular in the blues, who I follow and watch, Shane, really wasn't impressed with it, and there's 2 or 3 other people who've said they're not impressed with it, and a few that have changed to the Jensen one. So with that in mind, I'm going to change it. The only problem with the Jensen one is it fits perfectly because it's the same size and the holes do line up, but because of this big block on the back, you can't actually get the amp back in to sit on these rails because this is in the way. So you have to move it a few mil to be able to do that, which means the speaker cone isn't directly in the middle of the cutout. But I'm gonna live with that, and I'm gonna see how it sounds. So let's do a bit of swapping. Okay, so that's the Jensen speaker installed. As you can see, I drew a line where the old speaker was, and it's just off. It's not very much, and I'm hoping it won't make a sound difference. I managed to get one of the original bolts in. The others I've had to screw in. I've used the original washers, but I've had to screw them in with wood screws. So rather than being bolted, they're screwed. I know, again, that might be an issue, might not. I don't know. I've never changed a speaker before. The main thing is getting this back in, which the problem with it in the first place was that when you lined it up with the holes, it wouldn't pass the Jensen speaker. But now oh, that is tight. That is very tight. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a very small gap there, but it does fit. So that is in, it's lined up. So what I'm going to do now is we'll screw the back on and we'll get the speaker plugged in. Now the speaker's installed, there is one thing that won't go back. So there are 2 pieces of wood, one which sits here, actually on the way up, that sits there, and then this one, which would on the old speaker sit just down here in these recessed areas where there's a bit of wood and you can see the screw holes. But because again of this on the back of the Jensen, I can't get that in there, so that's going to have to remain out, and it'll be a bit more open backed, but I think that's all right. So I'll screw that in, get that plugged up, and we'll see what it sounds like. So here's the thing. I still don't like the sound of this amp. It's a lot better, but ultimately I think the Fender, which is a modelling amp, sounds loads better. I don't know if that's because I'm used to modelling amps or because it's got better components. I'm not sure. I always remember people saying that Marshall amps in general are very mid-range. They do that mid-range presence thing very well, but I just don't think it's for me. This is the pitfalls of buying online. I should have gone into a shop and tried it, but I didn't. So I'll probably sell it, and I'll carry on using my Mustang for things. And to be honest, I'll probably replace it with another modelling amp, because I've been massively impressed with modelling amps, and this just doesn't come anywhere close. Maybe a Boss Katana or something along those lines. But yeah, it's a shame, but it was a good experiment, and we'll move forward.